Get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid of anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
Hi, State of Mind, Sunday. The reason I have a football, because I don't think I've ever had a football. I've done over 350 of these. I've never had a football. But I've never had somebody who I used to watch every Sunday sitting in the chair. Now I'm teasing. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. But he made a goal line stand that I just saw on the phone. I remember seeing it when I saw it, but seeing it again, it was probably one of the greatest hits I've ever seen. Vicious. And he looked all big like that. He's done 14 seasons in the NFL and over 2,000 concussions. We're going to get into that stuff. His name is Gary Plummer. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. Always excited to get some information out there.
Yeah, before we get into, I want to know, where you grew up and the whole thing, but this just came to me, you want to help people, like I want to help people with mental health, but you got a lot of stuff you want to do. We're going to get into all that, but I think it's important for me, it's like, I admire you for that.
Well, the fact that I'm still alive is a testament to my wife, and it's every opportunity that I have to get the information out there, knowing so many players that have passed in the NFL. And now I'm very good friends with a guy that was a Navy SEAL for 40 years, and he's losing buddies left and right because of, concussions and PTSD. So the more we can get this information out, the better it is.
Well, my audience is fantastic and loyal, so we're going to get it all out.
Great.
You ever watch General Hospital?
Yes, as a matter of fact, growing up, that was huge.
No, come on.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
You watched it?
Absolutely. I mean, There were good-looking women on there.
Oh, the best. I've been with the best women in TV.
How many years have you been doing it?
Over 31 years.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So we might be close to the same age.
I'm 61.
There you go. I'm 64.
Damn. Amazing. And you have brothers and sisters? Where'd you
Oh, my gosh. Grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you count all the stepbrothers and sisters, there's like 14 of us.
No.
Yeah, but as far as blood, there's 6 of us, and I was the second youngest out of them. So I got beat up a lot growing up.
You got beat up at home?
Oh my gosh, more by my sisters than my brothers. I had a sister that her wrists were bigger than mine. I mean, 5'10", probably $160, and not an ounce of fat.
And she would just beat your ass?
Well, I'm going to give you an example, of why it's important to have brothers and sisters. So, I'm 16 years old. I have my first girlfriend. I kiss her goodbye outside of our house. I walk in and boom, I get pushed up against the refrigerator and poked in the chest by my older sister. And she's like, "Don't you ever let me see you do that again." I'm already crying. I'm like 16 years old. Yeah. I'm already ready to cry because she's bigger than me. I was a little guy. And she said, "You never let me see you not open a car door for a girl." And to this day, I open a car door every time. I mean, those are lessons that are unforgettable.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend and I was friends with her brothers, and they would fight. I'm talking blood from head to toe, like scratching.
Oh yeah.
And headlocks and kicking, and he would get his ass kicked all the time, man. I thought that didn't happen, but it does happen.
Yeah, it makes you tough. All my older brothers, I mean, I used to play, we'd go to the baseball park and we'd play football. And I was the youngest guy, and having to play with guys that are 3 and 4 years older than you when you're 12, that toughens you up. They're like, hey, we're not going to take it easy on you out here. So, yeah, it was good.
But when you were in school, you were not bullied.
No, I wasn't bullied.
Were you a tough dude in school?
No, I was a little guy.
Come on.
Honest, I graduated from high school. I was 5'10", 179 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in my pockets.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's still kind of big for me. I was like 5'7".
I was an offensive lineman and a linebacker. I mean, you're supposed to be, at least in high school, 225 pounds.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I was always too small.
There wasn't a lot of fights. Like in high school, when I grew up, I fought all the time. That was my thing, to always get in fights, because it made me feel confident and good.
I think there's a fight almost every day in football practice.
Yeah.
I actually became a football player because I was getting yellow carded and red carded in every soccer game I ever played in. So, yeah, I think I got my aggressions out on the sports fields.
Now, when you were in sports as a kid, were you extra good?
I was actually a pretty good baseball player, but I stopped playing when I turned 15 because my dad was a cop, and he had this big booming voice, and he'd always show up to the games from Little League forward in his uniform. And if I threw a ball as a pitcher and the umpire didn't call a strike, you gotta be kidding me, ump. And it was embarrassing. And I literally, I said, if I just play football, I can't hear him on the football field. So I'm just going to play football from now on.
And what grade?
I was probably around 13 at that time. Yeah.
And so once you started playing football, were you good right away?
I was good, but I was small. I was smaller than most of the kids. I mean, I was by far the smallest offensive lineman that we had on our team. Yeah. But what happens if you're a small guy? You need to learn technique, and I don't know. I had a lot of advantages. I feel like growing up. I know it won't come out that way when I first say this, but I have an older brother who's still alive at 69, and he was diagnosed with leukemia when I was in junior college. And this guy, I had a junior college coach that was crazy. We'd have to run however much we got beat by the previous week, he made us run that many 40-yard dashes before practice.
Wow. And
guys were, throwing up and quitting and all this stuff. And I would always think to myself, your brother Bob is dying of cancer right now. The least you can do is keep running. So there's always something somewhere in life that gives you motivation.
That's amazing. And then when he died.
No, he hasn't died. He's still alive.
Died?
He's had 7 different cancers. I mean, the guy is amazing. And I talk to him all the time, and I can't tell you how many times he was my inspiration at University of California at Berkeley when I walked on there and I wasn't good enough to get a scholarship, blah, blah, blah. We had to run every time somebody on defense didn't touch the guy that just caught the ball on offense in practice. You had to run to the top of the stadium, and Cal is a pretty big stadium. And I can remember guys throwing up and getting pissed off at the coaches because they're making them run. And I would get to the top and I'd look down. I'd be the first one up there. I'd look, come on, guys, the view up here is great. You could see the Golden Gate Bridge. You could see, it was amazing. The cityscape of San Francisco.
I was born in San Francisco.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's always been that for me. I feel blessed that I've always been an optimist and looked, for the good in everything that was happening. So I also remember running up there the first time feeling like, oh my God, I'll never make it. And my brother in the back of my head, get going, punk. You can do this. Yeah.
And you believe in prayer? You believe in...
I'm not a religious guy, but I'm definitely a spiritual guy.
Yeah.
And I definitely believe in, just the power of positivity for sure.
Yeah. So at what age or what grade did you know in your heart or in your thoughts that you could do this?
So like every kid when you're 10, 12 years old, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I was, Pop Warner quarterback.
Yeah.
The next year I was the center. How does that happen?
Right.
So I was never, I made All-State in high school as a linebacker and an offensive lineman, but, I didn't get any scholarships. So
you didn't get any scholarships?
No, I walked on at the University of California at Berkeley. I went to a JC first in Fremont at Ohlone Junior College, and I was actually ready to quit because all kinds of guys were sending letters there. This was not computerized back then. We're talking 1980.
Yeah.
And I was still kind of small because there were so many people in our home that I didn't ever get enough to eat. And so I was maybe 200 pounds soaking wet with rocks in my pockets. Again, I've grown. I'm 6 foot tall now. But again, I played both ways. I was an offensive lineman and a linebacker. And I was getting scholarship offers all over the country. And I was going to go to Stanford because that's right across the bay, 17 miles from my house. My family can come see me. It's going to be perfect. There was never enough money, so they weren't going to pay for it. And the guy came to our junior college to give me the scholarship. He was a defensive coordinator at the time. And he walks in the room and he looks at me and he said, "You're Gary Plummer?" And I kind of puffed out my chest, what little there was at that time. And he said, "You can't play in the Pac-10.
Really?
Laughed in my face. And it was at that point the single most devastating moment of my life. And, it's one of those things that I reflected on for years afterwards, and I drew strength from it. And I feel blessed that, I've been given that positivity, that optimistic attitude. But I was ready to quit at that moment. And the junior college coach, who was also my junior college wrestling coach, he looked at me when I said I was quitting, and he poked me in the chest and he said, "Fuck that guy." He said, "You're not quitting. You're the best damn football player I've ever coached in my life. We'll make sure you get done what you need to get done." So I took a class in nutritional science. I started eating right for the first time in my life. This is 1980, so you had a lot of bodybuilders, but not a lot of football players were lifting. So I started lifting weights for the first time in my life. I'm not going to lie. I got a job at a grocery store, started stealing nuts off the shelf. The hot chickens, I'd go in the back room. So I started getting, because too many people, too many mouths to feed at home, not enough food for me. So I started supplementing my food by eating protein, a bunch of it.
You started getting bigger?
I grew 2 inches and gained 28 pounds in 9.5 months.
Well, how'd the food make you grow height?
Because
that's not the way it works, right?
It absolutely is for, genetically, if you're supposed to be a certain height, if you've been undernourished and then suddenly you got the nourishment that you're supposed to have. That's why I'm always, talking to kids about eating well.
Yeah, I wish I had known.
Exactly.
I was modeling at one point. I was way too short.
Right, and you were probably trying to stay thin.
Yeah, I was trying to stay thin. Yeah.
Right, so you weren't eating as much as you could have. You might have played in the NBA.
I'm going to play with the 49ers. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
What about mental health? The reason I ask that is every time I ask that with somebody that's about our age, there may have been mental health, but nobody talked about it, right?
No, it didn't exist at that time.
Didn't exist.
No. Interestingly, concussions were happening frequently that, nobody knew about because that was a badge of honor. Hey, I got my bell rung on that play, when you go run down and make an open field tackle. And,
what does a concussion feel like?
So, we've all hit our heads on a door jamb, on a, car door, something, fallen, and you'll see flashes of light. You'll be slightly disoriented. You'll feel like you're losing your balance. And they used to talk about grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 concussions. Seeing stars and being slightly disoriented is supposedly a grade 1. They've changed all this. They say a concussion is a concussion now, where a grade 3 used to be talked about if you were knocked out. And I'd never been knocked out in my life, but literally thousands and thousands of concussions because, in training camp, for example, I was just thinking about this because right now the 49ers are in training camp. Yeah. We used to train up at Rockland, California, and it was over 110 degrees for 31 straight days while we were in double days. And I can't tell you how many concussions happened during training camp because there are live drills that are going on. They don't do that anymore in the NFL. Rarely.
During training.
Yeah, during training camp, you would just get jacked up because the guy across from you, he's trying to make a living and he's coming at you full bore. And, you get in these drills, these 9-on-7 drills, which are just a run game with the offensive line, the defensive line, the running backs and the linebackers. And you might as well just line up in front of this wall and say, go run at that wall and hit it as hard as you can.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because there's no passing. There's no, everybody knows what's happening. And so, you take on a 300-pound guard. Your job is to put this forehead, or in my case, a 5-head, under the chin of that guard and straighten him up so that he can't, because he's outweighing you by 60, 70 pounds. When you put your forehead under the chin of a guard, I promise you're going to see stars. And that's a concussion. And sometimes...
Well, how do they know what a concussion really is? Is it because you saw stars or it went black? That's considered a concussion?
Yeah, so again, grade 1 concussion, seeing stars, a grade 1 concussion, being slightly disoriented. Now, when you get up and you're wobbling off the field, that's a grade 2 concussion. Now, these are old definitions because now they're saying all of them are just under the category of concussion. Mm-hmm. Again, I saw many guys get knocked out. Steve Young, when I started broadcasting for the Niners, Steve Young got knocked out a couple of times, from a blitz, a backside blitz. Yeah. And everybody knows that's a concussion, but people, again, we have to go back to this toughness part. When you're playing this game, there's nothing tougher than playing football. And you can't, I coached my kids in baseball. I coached my kids in football. They were totally different. In baseball, there's all kinds of whining and kids complaining. Yeah. But in football, I never once, all the time, Pop Warner or high school, coaching them all the way through, not once did I hear a complaint from any of the kids that I coached.
Why is that?
Because kids know when they play football, they better be tough. And, you hear things from coaches, and this is old school, but, you got hurt, just rub a little dirt on it, tape an aspirin to it. Let's go. Yeah. You got to be tough. This game is tough. And so you start playing when you're 8 years old, which I was 8 years old. By the time you've played for 38 years, my last year, by the time you've played until you're 38, I played 30 years of football. You develop a toughness that there's nothing that is. I actually tell a quick story. My agent was Lee Steinberg, and he did a concussion seminar because it was a big deal in the early 90s. And he invited us all up to Orange County, and there's about 70 of us, maybe 80 of us. Most of them were quarterbacks, but he would represent anybody that played at Cal, because I played at Cal. He represented me. And I got up. This is how crazy you are playing football. These are experts from around the world. I get up in the back of the room because these guys are talking about, if you have a grade 1 concussion, you should think about sitting out for 4 or 5 days and sitting out the game the next week. If you have back-to-back concussions, you should think about retiring. I stood up and they were giving all these statistics, and I stood up in the back of the room and I said, I've been playing this effing game for almost 30 years. Your so-called concussions happen to me 5, 6, 7 times a game, and two or three times a practice. So I'm going to tell you guys to take all your statistics and shove them up your ass, because you don't know what the F you're talking about. And I mean, you should have seen it. I now feel like I was a complete idiot, arrogant jerk, because I'm telling these experts that actually knew what they were talking about, because this is the concussion protocol now. If you get dinged or clearly knocked out, you've got to take at least a week off, and be put in a dark room with no noise. And there are a lot.
Don't you also think that the way you're brought up, being this tough guy, never, nothing hurts, no way it is, that you don't say anything?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it just keeps going that way.
Absolutely.
Where even if you think it's a concussion or know it's a concussion, you're not going to say it because you're tough.
And you could possibly lose your job.
Oh, yeah.
So this gets us into the whole thing about men in general, and how we are too proud and too tough to admit when we're hurting. And if it wasn't for my wife, who's sitting right over here, I never would have gotten the help that I needed, and I wouldn't be here today.
Well, let me tell you, and you were friends with Junior Seau, so that's
very good friends.
That's a hard one, right?
Absolutely.
Do you think it opened eyes?
Absolutely.
And that had to see that's the problem. And now you're going to get me emotional.
Well, I want you to be emotional, because my wife came home. I was still sitting on the recumbent bike 4 hours into the NBC San Diego broadcast, talking about the death of my friend Junior Seau, who I had just seen a few days before. And I had taken him off to the side. It was at a charity golf tournament. And I knew he had been hurting because he'd run off the side of the road about 3 months earlier. And I pulled him off to the side. I said, "Bro, how are you?" "Oh, Plum, I'm doing great." Typical Junior, always upbeat, effervescent, excited. And I said, "No, June, this is me. I want you to know you got a place you can go. You just come stay at the house, get away from the media," because there was a lot of media stuff after that one. "No, I promise you, bro, I'm good." And so it hit hard, and I was still sitting there 4 hours later, and my wife said, "We're going to go see Sarah, who's our counselor." And when we got there, Sarah said, "I've been waiting for you guys." And that's how the whole journey down this path of admitting that I had a lot of issues and I needed to get better. So for your listeners, for your viewers out there, especially the men, listen to your wife, listen to your significant other, because they can see things in us that we can't. And there are still hard days, but I actually welcome them, because they remind me of those days that I had headaches that felt like someone was doing this on the back of my head for over 10 years. And the only time I knew I didn't have a headache is when it went away for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So So I kind of interrupted you there, but I thought that was an important thing.
You interrupted me, and that's what I like.
I mean, I about the emotions. It's an emotional subject.
You got that's what's
important.
This show is about that. Really, it really is, and that's why it's succeeding. But when you talk about suicide, one thing I want to tell the audience. It ain't your fault. It ain't Gary's fault. It ain't anyone's fault when somebody wants to take their life. Because you can do that anywhere at any time. And I know that because I've been through a lot in my life. Let's just say that. I'm not going to get into details because it's too raw for me to do that right now. But there was a 4-month period where I could have done it. Everybody would be sleeping. Done. Over. So it's never your fault. But the good thing that comes out of all this is it brings awareness and it brings knowledge and it changed you.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of the ugly.
I think the part for me that was crazy now for me to think about it, that I never understood, somebody that didn't have a good work ethic. I never understood somebody that wasn't happy. I never understood somebody that was complacent. And I now know I was blessed with all these wonderful attributes as a kid. I just took them for granted. For a bunch of years, I was sleeping longer and longer, not getting out of bed, the headaches. The way I describe how I felt was it felt like I was at the bottom of a well that didn't have a bottom, and it just looked like the top of that well kept getting further and further away. Well, there's no help for you at that point. You feel like, it's just this destiny for you to end up at the bottom of the well. And for me, that was death. And it's the self-loathing that starts to happen, where you start thinking nobody would give a crap if I was around or not. Right. And it's and I know that a lot of law enforcement officers go through it. A lot of military people go through it. Yeah. Just people that maybe weren't born with the same degree of optimism. And I know what happened to me. What happens in concussions is literally all these synaptic connections that are like this literally shrink away. And now what used to be easy for you, I used to work with my brother in construction in the off seasons because I didn't make much money early in my career. I couldn't change a doorknob. What? I used to help build houses with my brother. I can't change a doorknob now? Yeah. That's frustrating. That makes you angry. It makes you depressed. It's all of those things.
So that's bad in itself. But then does anxiety come and depression come?
Absolutely.
So I don't know how you did it, bro. I got to be honest with you. I know Corey and my wife, if you know my story, all you got to do is read nothing general about it. New York Times bestseller. No, I'm
going to start reading it right now.
I'll be honest, and I think you can feel the same way. We wouldn't be here without them, right? Can we? Pretty safe to say.
100%.
Okay, yeah. So, but let me get into something with you that I don't think I've ever gotten into. It just hit me.
I can't stand it up. I don't have the skills. I'm just going to hold it, bro. This is
all
good.
Right. I went.
We have graphics in case you don't have them over there.
I went through something recently, and I start to think, and I don't know if you've ever felt this. You may have, and it'd be great to have our wives here. That would be an interesting state of mind. I started feeling in this last one because I've been through so much, over 40 years of mental institution, 3 nervous breakdowns, quitting the show twice, anxieties forever, getting off planes. But this last one, I started to feel like I just didn't want to put her through. I didn't want to put this, I didn't want her to go through this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You ever feel that? Because they take on everything, Gary.
Yeah.
It's all, you know, they have to take it on. They have to take it on. And I think at 61 years old now, I'm thinking.
I thought you said you were 60. Now it's 61.
61.
Okay.
I just didn't want to do that. You know?
Right.
Not that they feel that.
Yeah. Well, what I know is that now, something that I say, because Corey is in my life, is that I didn't know how happy I wasn't. Now that's grammatically incorrect.
No, but I like it, yeah.
But it is the truth. And I don't ever tell her.
I know. Me too.
When something's bothering me more than usual, because I don't want her to worry. But I know how in tune she is into it. And she'll just start asking me more and more often, are you doing okay? And we recently lost our 18-year-old cat and our 17-and-a-half-year-old dog, literally 6 weeks ago and 1 week ago. And, you know, it's been hard because I really believe that that's one of those unconditional loves that you get from pets. Not so much from cats, but, from your dog.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you lose them, it's like losing family. And I've been hearing, how are you, Gary? How are you handling this? And I'm more worried about her now because they were her children. But it's really interesting how they have this insight. Our wives, our significant others have this insight.
I know.
That you're thinking to yourself, are there constant thought bubbles over my head?
No, it's a trip. Right?
You know, it really is.
Yeah. You know,
so guys, dudes out there, please listen to your wives because they get it.
And listen to this last thing I went through, which I want to talk to you about not sleeping, because I wasn't sleeping. That was tough for me because I can fight manic depression. I can fight bipolar. I can fight anxiety. I can fight depression, and I've won. But I can't fight not sleeping. That's a fight you ain't gonna win. And I know that you didn't sleep for what, 1-2 hours every night?
Yeah.
How the?
Well, no, it would be for an hour or two that I would sleep, and then I'd be up for 3 or 4, and then I'd sleep for an hour or two. What used to piss me off is I'd get phone calls at 11 o'clock, and I would forget to put my ringer on mute, and I'd wake up and it'd be one of my siblings or a friend, and bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you still sleeping? And that doesn't help when you're already in a state of depression and got some anxiety and you haven't slept. What you want to say is pound salt, but it's just one of those. You keep all this stuff silent. You choke it down, and that's one of the worst parts about this. And I think what we all need to know, having these issues mentally, is that there is help out there, and there are people that love you. Again, it's that self-loathing that happens, and we haven't even got into it yet. All the different things, all the modalities that I had to go through to try and figure out what's going to make me better, and they almost happened by accident.
Yeah.
Doing a charity event for Steve Young in Utah, and there just happened to be a wounded warrior that got up and gave this amazing speech, and we started talking afterwards, and I found out that he did music therapy. I'm like, what the heck is music therapy? And so I ended up starting to listen to classical music.
And that helped?
they all helped this much.
Okay, yeah, because I
But
like music.
together, they helped this much.
Yeah. Gardening.
Started gardening. I mean, like all this stuff, you go from this macho middle linebacker to this, guy that's into classical music and gardening. And I feel really good about it.
Wow.
I feel great about it. And then the meditation and the yoga, all of it, each thing helps you that much.
Yeah.
I've gone to a place called A Mind for All Seasons up in Idaho, Boise, Idaho. And they they did all these tests on me for 4 days. And it was truly remarkable. Red light therapy. I found out that doing things like fasting is good for you. We have a mutual friend named Clark Bartram who went to dinner. That guy. I go to dinner with he and his wife Anita 2 weeks ago. I'm excited because we're about ready to eat, and I've been fasting for 23 hours. I'm thinking, man, this is awesome. And he looks at me and he said, "You've been fasting for how long?" 23 hours. He goes, "You call that a fast?" I'm like, okay, bitch.
Yeah.
How long have you been fasting? Well, what's your longest fast? He goes, I kind of lost track, but I don't know, somewhere around 10 days. 10 days! So there's always someone out there to kind of help motivate you. Now, I respond to that kind of motivation. There are a lot of people that don't. Most everybody's looking for positivity now, but I definitely respond to the challenge. And so I am currently on day 2.5. So this will be my longest fast, 61 hours thus far. And I'll be eating as soon as we're done here.
Well, I'm never going to fast, so it doesn't matter.
You don't need to. Look at you. You look great.
You don't need part of this, right? You really don't. This tricep, even Clark hasn't seen a tricep like that.
Okay.
I learned something, and then we're gonna I think we've done. You're about as open and deep. This is the kind of stuff that I love. But I want to just say this with what I just went through. I learned something that I hadn't before. It was only my wife but my wife and my son weren't there. They were in Europe. So I had basically nobody. What I realized is what friends can do for you. They were with me. They were with me all night, and just without a complaint, without anything.
I love that.
And it was like for 2 weeks, I think it was. We got 2 weeks. And I said to myself, damn, now I know what friends are. Because I didn't really think of that, because every time I go through something, it's just my wife, right?
Right.
But if they're not there, and it's so much harder when they're not there. Man.
Yes.
So I just want to put that out there. All right, we've gotten deep, Gary. I think we've deeped it out. Is that a word?
No, it doesn't matter though, because you just said it.
I just made it up. Let's get into some fun stuff, and then we'll. What's up with Brock Purdy, man? I think he's fantastic, and I'm tired of people saying he's not.
System quarterback, that's what they're saying.
Whatever they're saying, I don't like it.
No.
Just say the truth. Who has done better in 2 seasons?
He's fantastic. Okay. I love his attitude. I'm always a guy that's up for the underdog. I mean, you're talking about him being the last player picked in the draft. I was never even drafted. And so I look at guys like that, and I just admire them. And, you now have a couple of holdouts going on up there with the 49ers.
Ayuk and I don't know.
Trent Williams as well. But no, he's the real deal. And if you want to know, legitimize that, I talked to Joe Montana about it.
Okay.
He was on the sideline, a game I went to up there, and he's a great guy. he if he's not the all-time best, he's one of
Well, I'm
them.
going to ask you that after this.
Yeah. So, and Joe says he's the real deal. That's all I need.
I think his mind is the real deal.
Right.
That's a fact. Maybe he's not huge, big, but his mind is amazing.
Steve Young said the difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback is anticipation. And I now know that I have to throw guys open.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that before. And I'm like,
I love that line. Yeah.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's what Brock Purdy does best.
Yes. And the best quarterback in history, Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy, not Brock Purdy, Joe Montana or Tom Brady.
I would have to give it to Tom Brady right now, just because, nobody's had that many titles, and to do it for as long as he did it was pretty amazing. And it wasn't just because of Belichick, which a lot of people give him credit. But then he goes down to Tampa and he does it as well. So I'd put him probably number one.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do what Patrick Mahomes does.
Yeah.
I don't like to see it.
But it's got to be something over time.
I get it. And Joe Montana is as calm and cool as,
He's Joe Cool in person, too.
Is he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm cool, too, we have a friend, and we'll probably, I think I've covered everything, but, it doesn't really matter. You were so great. Yeah.
Well, you made this easy.
Well, because we're both talking about things we have passion about.
Sure.
So we're gonna get into it. I got close with. This might make us go a certain place too, but Dwight Clark. And that's a terrible disease, right?
Absolutely. There's actually next week, the 49ers are having, at a practice, they're having Dwight Clark Day. They've done it before during the season, but they're now doing it so that more people can get exposed and up close. They're having the whole week of practice dedicated to Dwight Clark. The amazing thing, we were just a few weeks ago up in Montana at Eddie DeBartolo's ranch, where Dwight Clark also had a ranch right next door because they were so close. And Eddie has, I love that guy, Eddie DeBartolo had his guys, not sure who the guys were, but he had his guys fly to San Francisco and do whatever they had to do to get the goalposts from the end zone that Dwight Clark caught the catch.
Wow.
It is on his ranch. We saw it last week or 2 weeks ago. It is still on his ranch, and he has Dwight's ashes right there. He has the entire end zone. I mean, they were so close, and so many wonderful things done by Eddie over the years for former players. You talk about the NFL and how it means not for long, and once you're done, you're done. Nobody gives a crap about you. That's not true with Eddie DeBartolo. He still cares about everybody who's ever played for him.
I think we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to talk to the audience and kiss your ass a little bit. So just hold on. Hold on there. I just want to say, state of mind, you guys are the best. If you like what you saw today, hit the button, subscribe. We're trying to reach 200,000. We're going to get there. Gary, truly one of the best, and I've interviewed many, one of the best I've interviewed. And not because he's trying, it's almost because that's who he is, just to be easy and open and deep. So, and him and I are very passionate about what we're talking about, so it was not difficult at all. Appreciate you coming. Can I do one last thing that I've never done? My brother's a bigger fan of the 49ers than I am. I'm going to call him.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk to him.
Let me see.
Wait, so, okay, you're a big 49er fan, but does that mean there's another team that you like more than the Niners? If you say Raiders or Cowboys, I'm out of here.
Any other team.
Okay, good.
I like I have a friend who owns part of the San Francisco Giants stadium, and I like the San Francisco Giants, but 49ers, I'm not going to joke. This is not a joke. When I watch the playoffs especially, but not as much anymore, because I think I've gotten help for it. Not for this, but for all my stuff. When I would watch the Niners, I'm shaking. And I said, this isn't healthy. What the fuck? I mean, I'm shaking. It's a game in my hand. And I think I've gotten better. So... But that's how much I get into it.
Well, just know, as a player, because I remember telling my brother this one time. Oh, this is your brother. Here, well, I'll leave a message.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can leave a message.
But I can remember my brother saying after a game, what takes you so long to get out? You know, we're out there cheering so hard for you. You know, we're hungry. We need to go. I'm like, you really think I care whether you're in the stands cheering for me? I've never once said, I think I'll make this tackle for my brother. I'm out there to be the best I can possibly be.
Good. I like
that. Yeah. Had nothing to do with you, bro.
Okay, let's see what we got. I said 2 o'clock. Damn, we've done it 2.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Well, I don't know. Were you sleeping or something? Because your brother wanted me to call you and just say thanks for being a great 49er fan. He said you're actually a better fan than he is. Is that true? This is Gary Plummer.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, shit. I forgot all about you, Tommy.
Hey, we're on the air, bro. We're on the air, so you can't be swearing like that.
Jeez, I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. I am a bigger fan than him by far. I'm older, so I've been around longer.
Not by far. But...
Oh, okay. How old are you?
I'm going to be 67 in 2 months.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to reach that.
Yeah, you're.
I'm right in between the two of you, so we're good.
Oh, really? No.
So favorite memory at Candlestick Park?
At Candlestick Park? Oh crap! Well, it has to be the catch.
There it is. We were just talking about Dwight.
He had dinner with Dwight. He had dinner with him.
He's a great guy.
He's a great guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, through my brother, I got to meet him, and we had dinner with him, and it was pretty awesome. He is a great guy. He was really down to earth. And,
yes.
He told us a lot of stuff we never would have known, you know. But
yeah, he did.
A moment for me being a 49er fan since the 70s, because they really hadn't done anything until that point, and that just kind of catapulted into the thick that they have. You know, they were just the team of the 80s.
So I'm going to tell you one more thing that I just told your brother, that we just got back from Montana. Eddie DeBartolo has the goalposts from the catch, and he still has the grass from the catch all on his ranch. And, you know, he's also got Dwight's ashes where he made the exact spot of the catch. And it's one of the most special things. I actually have some pictures with about 30 other 49ers, all taking pictures with Eddie there. I mean, he truly loved that guy, but anyone that's ever played for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? That doesn't surprise me. That's an awesome thing. But he was just a fantastic owner. There's no question about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he took care of his players. I mean, without a doubt, he did it right. You know, back in the day when you could do it that way.
Yeah, he still does. He just gave when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, gave $1 million to the Golden Heart Fund, which helps former 49ers that have fallen on hard times. So very, very cool.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I remember you though, buddy. I mean, you played in the Super Bowl against your former team, right? The Chargers.
Yeah. And here's a great thing about that is not only did we kick the crap out of the Chargers, I took their best cheerleader. It's my wife. She's sitting right here in the studio.
Is that right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Oh, wow. You came out really ahead.
That was a gift that keeps on giving right there, bro.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's good info. I didn't know that.
We gotta go, but we gotta go. We'll talk later. I gotta end this because he's a big star. He can't, stick around.
All right, good to meet you, man.
All right, State of Mind. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. See you later. Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you. Appreciate it.